By doing our Saturday Social traditional predictions. I enjoy this a lot. Hit us with the rules, Joe.
OK, so each of our guests have prepared 10 statements predicting the fortunes of a club for 2025. We'll go through in alphabetical order for all 20 Premier League sides. Yes, we're starting with yours for Arsenal. So your prediction for Arsenal: next season will be a case of last chance saloon for Arteta. Why?
I just think next season will be Arteta's 6th full season at the club. He's spent upwards of, I believe, £700 million. And while he's done an incredible job of rebuilding Arsenal into a team that can challenge for leagues, challenge for potentially European honours from where he took them over, that's massive. But now they need someone to get them over the line. It's going to be his 3rd season of challenging for a league. I think it's going to be the 3rd season where he fails to win it. And next year, expecting they get a big name in attack, I think he has to get it done. And if he doesn't, I think it's reasonable to expect Arsenal to look elsewhere.
I don't know where you're going to look for a manager that's going to do what Arteta's done. And you have to take into consideration what he's up against. City and Liverpool have been unreal for the last how many years? Who's going to come in and break that?
There's top managers out there.
Like, that want to go to Arsenal?
Why not? Arsenal are a massive club. They play in London. They can offer top wages. Look, the next manager doesn't have to do what Arteta did because the rebuild is already done. He just needs to take them over the line. Look what Slot did. Slot didn't have to do exactly what Klopp did, but he's just taking over from a great team to take them over the line. I don't see why you can't do that, Arsenal.
OK, total disagreement on the first one. I like it. We'll move on to Aston Villa, another one of Lias's predictions. So, Lias, your prediction here is Aston Villa will make the quarter-finals of the Champions League.
I think they've been really impressive in Europe this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're in the automatic qualifying positions at the moment, so they will get a bye to the next round. And I look at Villa, the way they're kind of built to be a cup team, in my opinion. Unai Emery has vast experience in Europe. And I look at Villa Park on a European night. Bayern's already gone there and suffered defeat. I think Juve went there and they drew. I think Villa could really make an upset in the round of 16 and potentially go quarterfinals.
Do you agree, Manny?
I agree. I think they've got that good vibe about them. They've looked good in the Champions League. I think the only thing that might play against them is whether they get that John Duran, Ollie Watkins for each game. They've gotten it right so far, but they need to continue doing that.
Yeah, 5th in the Champions League table with 13 points from 6 games. Not bad.
Unai Emery as well. He's got that vibe about
Yes,
in Europe,
yes,
hasn't he?
indeed.
Right, next up, we go into Bournemouth. This one from you, Manny. 2025, Bournemouth will qualify for European football.
Yeah, I think it's a good shout. I think if you look at the results and some of the away games that they've managed to win, that's good to go into the new year and build on that, providing they can steer away from certain injuries like Semenyo, Cliver as well, who's been very good for them. I think they've got a very good chance of getting into the European football.
Iriola as well, special.
Oh, what job he's
I
done.
think it's one of the most remarkable jobs in the Premier League over the last few seasons. I remember when Gary O'Neill kind of left the job and he came in, there were a lot of question marks. Like, they were so stable under him, but he's taken them another level. They play, in my opinion, some of the most fun football to watch in the league. He loses his best players like a Solanke. He brings in new guys, and I think this year, for me, that's a great show. I think they're a huge threat to the top 6, top 7.
Yeah, 7th in the Premier League, 5 points behind 4th place Chelsea. Never qualified for European competition before. What a season it has been so far. It has, yeah. Let's go to the next one. It's another one from Manny. We move on to Brentford now. Brian Mbeumo will leave Brentford in the summer. You're going to upset Brentford fans with this one.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to like me much for this one, but I think it's that time where he's getting older now. He's impressing. He's being consistent. Top clubs are going to start sniffing around, and I don't think Brentford have enough to make him stay. So I think Mbeumo's going to be gone.
Yes, your thoughts on that?
I would expect him to leave as well, too. I think the thing of Mbeumo that shocks a lot of people is how young he is.
Yeah.
I think he's turning 25 this year. That's incredible. And I look at his game, how polished he is. Bar Saka and Salah, I don't know if there's a more impressive right winger in the Premier League at the moment. And when you look at that position, I don't think a lot of teams are necessarily stacked there. I think a lot of teams could do worse than going for Mbeumo.
He's got 11 Premier League goals this season. Only Salah, Haaland, Isak and Palmer, I believe, have got more. So, having a great season.
He's done a great job as well, too, replacing
yeah.
Ivan Toney. Like, Ivan Toney left Brentford this year, and it doesn't feel like it's a huge loss whatsoever. And a big reason for that is him.
Yeah, good point.
Absolutely. Next up, we've got another of yours, Lias. This is for Brighton. Brighton will unearth another player that in 3 years' time will sell for over £80 million.
I feel like this is the safest bet I made, to be honest.
Time frame,
and
3 years.
Fee.
Honestly,
fee as well.
Yeah, no, and you know what? They might even have one in their ranks right now. I look at Carlos Baleba, by the way. I think he could potentially go for that much.
That's a very good shout.
But I just think Brighton, like, this is what they do, man. Honestly, for me, this is the safest one I made. I think it's a surefire one.
Yeah, I agree. Their scouting team has been doing it for a few years now, and Baleba the one that I would have picked out. His ball carrying, box to box, he can shoot, he can tackle, and he's strong. I think that's an easy shout. That's your best one so far.
Oh, he likes it. It's your best one.
I think it's the most surefire one, honestly.
Do you think that Brighton are going to want a summer where they actually hold on to all of their best stars? Because I feel like, we've seen clubs in the past lose consistent big names, and eventually it comes back to haunt them. Brighton are like pushing, aren't they? They want to be a club that's consistently in Europe. They consistently lose their best player.
I mean, I hear it. And to be fair, 80 million, the worst part of that shout might be that it's only 80 million. It could be 100. Yeah. You look at how much Caicedo went for Baleba, he could go up for figures that much. But it'll be very difficult for them. As brilliant a job as they do, and it's such a great club as well, too. When the big boys come calling for that kind of money, it's tough to decline.
OK, let's move on to the next one. It is Chelsea. It's Lies's prediction again. And it says Chelsea's Esteval will announce himself to the Premier League as an elite talent. Joining this summer, for context. He's only 17 years of age, 4 caps for Brazil, 15 goals and 10 assists.
You know, my original prediction was originally they were going to be the team to buy the player from Brighton, but then I was like, a little different.
You changed it.
Esteval, I've spoken to a few people. I spoke to Ederson recently, and he was telling me about how brilliant a young talent Esteval is. And a lot of people in Brazil kind of look at him as the best talent they may have produced since Neymar. And that's massive, massive praise for this guy. Obviously, he's coming into a Chelsea team that is very stacked in attacking positions. They've invested heavy. But I think when you're talking about pure natural talent, in terms of what he could be, you are looking at a potential superstar. And it's not every day that players like that come to the Premier League. You often see them go to Real Madrid, to the Barcelona. So I think the fact that he's coming to the Prem is very, very exciting.
And was a big part of this prediction the fact that you could name drop that Ederson told you about him? Is that a big part of it? Manny, your thoughts? I mean, he's been dubbed Messinho by many. For a 17-year-old, it's not a bad nickname, that, is it?
I think where we are with football now, we just need to be very careful with hype. Yeah. And I'm not saying that he's not talented in any way. I've seen some clips and I've seen little bits, but I think you can have a great natural talent and seed. It's just where you plant it. So the club that he goes to is very important. So if he can...
That was poetic, man. Get that as a quote, that.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we go to the next one then? This is Crystal Palace. Back to you, Manny. This is Eberechi Eze and Mark Gahey will join a Champions League club.
Yes, I think that's quite a safe one, really. I've been surprised that Eze stayed at Palace as long as he has. Yeah. I think sometimes injuries have held him back or clubs have not wanted to pull the trigger for one reason or another, but I think it's time now. Elise's gone. And like you were saying with Brighton, I feel like Palace have failed in a way sometimes to keep their best players and actually build on it. Because I think they were close. They had Wharton, they got Mitchell, they had Wan-Bissaka at a stage.
Elise left last.
Yeah, they've got a good base. So I think Eze and Gueye probably will be gone in the summer.
They're two top players. If you're a Crystal Palace fan watching this, obviously you'd like to keep them both. Who is more important for Palace for them to keep?
He's the captain, but I just feel like players like Eze, magicians like that, it's very, very difficult to kind of just pick them up for how cheap they did. Like, I do disagree with you, though, honestly. And it's not that I don't think they're good enough, but I look at Guehi's situation in terms of he almost joined Newcastle and Liverpool, but was just priced out of the move.
Bids Newcastle.
Yeah, and I understand that, right? But I feel like it's so difficult these days to go to clubs like Palace and buy their best players because of how much they ask for. Yeah. And when I look at Guehi and Eze, yes, they're good enough to play at that level, but are they good enough to spend £80 million on? I think if you're a club like Liverpool or a club like City, I think you may look elsewhere for that, and that's why they may end up kind of stuck in their situation.
Eze did have that release clause in the summer, though, didn't it? And nobody activated that.
Because no disrespect to Eze, I think he's a brilliant player, but could you maybe go elsewhere and find a little better? And I think teams are starting to do that. That's just my opinion.
Okay, interesting. Let's move on to the next one. Everton. As we say, they're in alphabetical order. Everton, the next club. And this is Manny's prediction. It says Iliman and Dye will save Everton from relegation. Manny.
Yeah, obviously I'm not Everton's biggest fan all the time, but genuinely from watching him play, he's been their bright spot. Yeah. And I think it's the one player that you can pick out and be like, oh, a club's going to come knocking. But I think he's been consistent. I think he's got that little bit of magic. He's confident on the ball. So I think if anyone is going to save them, they need to keep him injury-free.
Yeah, definitely. Joint most successful dribbles in the Premier League this season and Everton's joint top scorer. Do you think Everton will stay up, yes?
I do, and I agree with Manny. I think Ndiaye he'll be the reason why. Again, you talk about that magician at the lower clubs that typically is like the maverick that keeps them up. Everton, as we know, are a brilliant defensive team. They have been under Sean Dyche for the last few years. But last season, they were really missing a little bit of spark and attack, and I completely agree. I think he's brought it, and I think they will stay up in the league quite comfortably as well.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Because they just don't score quite enough goals. There's like too many 0-0 draws. There's lots of clean sheets, but they're not getting over the
draws
line
against
in forward areas.
Chelsea, draws against Arsenal, I think draws against City was it as well? So I mean, not
tough. Okay, let's go to the next one. Talking Fulham now. This is Anthony Robinson will get a big money.
What a player.
Tap in?
Tap in.
Yeah, I think so as well, too. I look at him, he's been one of the standout left backs in the league. I think he has the most assists of any fullback in the Premier League this season. And he's one of those players that every year, I believe, has just kind of gone another level, where now you look at him as one of the best players in that position. And I look at that position around the Prem, right? A lot of teams, I think, this summer will be after a left-sided player. United are looking for someone. Liverpool, potentially, are they looking for a Robertson replacement? I think he'd be the top name on a lot of teams' lists. Would you have him at Liverpool? Most interceptions, most assists in the league?
I think he literally reminds me of when Robertson was just bursting in at Liverpool. Yeah. That energy, pace, knows how to get a cross in, and he's quite direct as well, difficult to beat. I would have him.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting option that a lot of clubs are going to be interested in.
I totally agree. Top player. We've spoken about him many times on this show. Top player. Next one is another Elias prediction. I really like this one, mate, by the way. Ipswich Town we're going to. Liam Delap will be in Thomas Tuchel's England squad. So how early are you talking? I think the next internationals are March time. Do you think straight away you're talking?
This is a year prediction, so I got a year to make this work.
Fair enough.
I got 365 days to make this work. But yeah, I've been on here speaking about Liam Delap, how much of a fan I am, and I think amongst Ipswich's season, which has been hit and miss, right? They've had highs, they've had lows. I just think he's been such a high for them. And he looks so tailor-made for the Premier League already. He's aggressive. He's a handful. He's kind of got a nasty side to him as well, too. He knows where the goal is. I think he's one where City, in my opinion, should be looking to bring him back, even if he's not a starter, to bring direct competition to Haaland. And I think you look at the England team, Kane is only getting older. I think Watkins has had a hit-or-miss season. For me, this is a natural replacement, potentially, for Harry Kane.
Yeah, interestingly, he's been involved in 50% of his club's Premier League goals. Only Salah has a better ratio this season of any player in the Premier League.
That's quite incredible. Yeah, I do think with Liam Delap that he's big, he's strong, and is one of those players, when you look at his age, you wouldn't actually believe that, that it goes together, to be honest. But, yeah, I think the way he strikes the ball, when he gets in front of goal, he looks like he always is looking to shoot. And I think Ipswich, if they stay up, he'll be a massive reason.
And you think that's a good shout from Lias?
I think it's a good shout.
I'll take it.
He featured in team rates, didn't he? We're bringing that in a couple of weeks, Liam Delap.
Absolutely.
So coming your way.
Let's go to the next one then. Leicester. I think this is one of the bravest predictions we've got in this list. Manny, Leicester City will survive.
Yeah, I watched them against City the other day. Obviously, they played against us at Anfield. First half, they looked good. They looked very organised. But I think I'm going based off Vardy's got experience, and also watching some of their individual players, Samare, and I think there's El Kanous as well. He looks really good. And I think if they stay up, if they can keep those players fit and get ticking, and they're creating chances. They just need to start putting them away. They did have the chance to put City away, I reckon.
They did. That's so many chances against City.
Yeah.
I mean, El Kanous, Buonanotte, forward areas, they've got a lot of creation.
It's a bad loss they're losing to City these days, huh? Like, you're giving them credit. They fought against City. Everyone's beating City these days, but I disagree, to be honest. And I really hope I'm wrong, because I want Ruud van Nistelrooy to succeed in the Premier League, but yeah, they have some nice attacking pieces, but defensively, man, these guys just leak goals. Obviously, they've had massive goalkeeper issues since Hermansen kind of went down. They can't seem to find a safe pair of hands in goal. I think they need to do business in the window. I think they need to bring some defensive players in, and then maybe you have a chance. But at the current moment, as the squad's composed, I see them going down, to be honest.
OK, disagreement with that one. Let's see if they agree with the next one. It's Manny's beloved Liverpool, and he's gone straight in with it. Liverpool will win the league. Was this an easy one for you?
It was an easy one.
Nailed on?
I think so. I don't know by how far we'd win the league, but I believe that we will do. Also, the competition around isn't keeping up right now, and I can't see us dropping enough points over the season to make that not come to happen.
Yes, you agree with that?
Yeah, that's for me, it's nailed on. I think they're the best team in the league. I don't think it's actually even close. I would have gone for like a braver prediction, maybe Salah to win the Ballon d'Or this year. I think that would have been like more out. This one for me is, this is your best show by a mile. It's his best show, huh?
Do you think Salah will win it this year?
On current form, if he is the best player in the world at the moment. He's playing in like, what is it? 70% of Liverpool's goals this year are contributed by him. I think he's a nailed on right now. But it's a long season.
67%, yeah.
Yeah.
Exact,
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I mean,
I think that's
fall off.
It's nailed on, isn't it? If the season
At the moment, right now, if they had to announce a Ballon d'Or winner right now, it has to be Salah. Has to be.
Yeah, okay, agree. Let's move on then to Manchester City. Man City will have their biggest summer since 2017. Now, a reminder, 2017, they spent approximately £220 million. They brought in Bernardo Silva, Kyle Walker, Ederson came through the door as well. Some big names.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen again.
I think it has to happen again. I think City are crying out for a rebuild. I think they've let it... The rot has kind of been building at City the last few years, but because they've been so successful on the pitch and that current group was so successful, no one really paid attention to it. But I think ultimately, you look at the fourth oldest squad in the league, you look at a team where De Bruyne is potentially on the way out, Bernardo Silva and Gundogan don't seem to have the legs similar to players in defense. I think they're crying out for a rebuild. And I think City, they've just rewarded Pep with a new contract. They have to back him, and I think they will have a massive summer replacing midfielders, attackers, defenders. I think they're gonna clear out most of the squad.
Who's the one standout name you think
that City could potentially sign?
You should be targeting.
I think Florian Wirtz. I think that creative kind of position, De Bruyne leaving. Foden is brilliant, but I think you need another player in that mould.
They only spent 34.8 million in the summer window. They're actually the lowest spenders in the Premier League. When you think the money they recouped, I think it was like 146 million they recouped for the likes of Alvarez and other players. Do you think that they are nailed on to spend not only in the summer but also in January?
I think so. I think what's happened so far this season has been a huge shock to them. They've not felt something like that for years, so I think it's only a matter of time. They'll get the checkbook out.
OK, let's move on to Manchester United. Of course, Lias's team. Man United will end the season at the bottom of... What is this negativity from Man United?
This is positivity, man. We're not getting relegated, man.
This is positivity.
Honestly, cheer.
Two Man United fans are cheersing to finishing in the bottom half.
How far they've fallen.
On that.
Absolutely shocking to see this
rival. What is going on?
Grovelling about. Yeah, to be honest, I think that's probably one of your best ones.
You like that one?
Yeah, it just doesn't look like it's going to get any better over there. There's just been issues over the years, and I think the recruitment for them has been terrible.
What do you think we finish on, points-wise?
Points-wise?
Seriously.
How much are we on right now?
22.
Oh, my God. Did we crack 40? 40 is the magic number normally, right?
Where do you think you will finish then? Go on.
I genuinely...
Points-wise and league
Points-wise, I have no idea, to be fair. Like, position in the table, I look at us maybe 12th, 11th, 12th. I don't think that's a bad... Like, honestly, you look at the squad that we have. I look at players in our squad. I look at players at Ipswich that I would take at Man United. I look at players everywhere in the league. I take players at Man United. Are you going to say
that's bad position if you finish 11th?
No, I think it's in terms of a shout. I think it's realistic.
Right.
Like, I don't think it's a bad shout in terms of Man United finishing 11th. But is it unrealistic? I don't think so.
Manny, you're smiling throughout all of that.
Yeah, it was just nice to see him being honest.
Yeah.
It's actually true. There's not much you can say to that, to be honest.
Wow.
OK, well, we'll go to Newcastle.
You're speechless.
Sorry, yeah, let's go to Newcastle.
OK.
Manny, it's you again. Alexander Isak will leave Newcastle if they fail to finish top 4.
Yeah, I think so. I think with the season he's having, how he's playing, he's at that point where I think you've got to start pushing on and do something special. Newcastle were in the Champions League, didn't really sustain it, but I think they're in a good position to do so. But if not, is he going to want to play Europa League?
I feel like the fee, they just...
What would the price tag be?
The price tag's definitely like 90 to 100, 110 mil.
Whatever it is, Arsenal must spend it. Like, that's the kind of player, that's the kind of world-level player, in my opinion, that takes you from challengers to champions.
Yeah.
On form, he's the best striker in the league. And the way he's playing right now, he's the best striker in the league.
12 goals and 4 assists. And the quality of his finishing as well.
It's the quality of his game in general. He's so polished.
He's allowed a goal against United.
He's an incredible player.
He can dribble, he can carry the ball, commit defenders, and every time he gets the ball, any defender in front of him is second-guessing. Because he's like 6 foot what?
Yeah.
He can like dribble like that.
Yeah.
Newcastle fans are going.
They want to hear that. 25 goals he scored in 2024.
Surely he's like a £150 million player. I just don't see the price. Who can afford this guy in the market? I'd be so shocked to see Isak leave, but not my prediction.
And Newcastle fans will like you saying that.
Yeah.
They will not want to see him leave at all. Yeah, not in Forest. Next up, and it is Manny's prediction. Nuno Espirito Santo will win Manager of the Year. What a season! Nottingham Forest are having 3rd in the Premier League table.
I just think it's a clear one. And I kind of battled in my mind and I was thinking, Arne Slot's come in and if he wins the league, it's quite an incredible thing. He's used the same set of players.
Yeah. Sure.
But when you look at where Nottingham Forest finished last year and how they just kind of scraped staying in the league, to being second, that is incredible. And if they stay in that top 4, they get top 4, it's Manager of the Year.
That's interesting from a Liverpool fan's perspective with the job that Slot's done. How do you see the sort of Manager of the Year award panning out by the end of the season?
I mean, Slot has done an incredible job, and if Santo didn't exist, then I would say Arne Slot 1,000%. But to take Nottingham Forest who maybe a lot of people would have had as relegation candidates at the start of the season, to in amongst Champions League positions. That's an incredible. For me, it would be the most incredible finish in English football since Leicester.
Wow.
Nottingham Forest making top four. That's a crazy.
On that, we were looking at the Opta predictions, weren't we? They actually had the Opta predictor model, which gives you the percentage chance of where you're going to finish for the season. Had a 14.1% chance of them finishing in the top 4 and a 19.5% chance of finishing in the top 5. So they were nowhere near it before the season. So, as I say, the job that he's
do you
doing...
think they'll finish there?
Absolutely incredible.
I think so right now. If you look at some of the results they pulled, they're also the only team to beat Liverpool this season as well. At Anfield.
Yeah.
So
we looked at that as like a fluke at the start of the season. Wow.
Yeah.
It's not.
Counter-attack games, ridiculous. Let's go to the next one then. Southampton. Tough, this one. Lyes, this is you. Southampton will break Derby's points record. 11 points that stands as.
I wanted to be different here. I can't lie. The rest of them, they were very straightforward picks. I think this one, it's definitely a punt. But you look at it, at this point in the season right now, they have less points than Derby did in 2007-08.
Yeah, so they're on 6 points. Yeah. At this stage, 7-08 Derby had 7 points, and they finished the season on 11. They only won one game.
One win.
That season.
The hope has to be that the new manager, Juric, can come in and kind of make them more defensively resolute, which has been such an issue for them this season. Russell Martin was trying to play some good football with them, but ultimately it was so... They were ultimately the makers of their own downfall. Yeah. And the hope has to be Juric makes them more defensively stable, but I think there's a real risk they break that record.
Manny, do you agree with Lyes?
I don't think they'll break the record, but I think it'll be a struggle for them. When I looked at the table and I saw they'd only won one game, I was like, that's actually quite scary when you look at it. So I don't think they'll break the record, but I think they'll struggle. I think it might be gone.
We move on to the mighty Tottenham Hotspur next, and it's Lyas's prediction. Lyas gone with Ange Postecoglou won't be Tottenham manager next season, Lyas.
This one actually hurts me because I quite like Ange.
Yeah.
I like his personality. I like the way he kind of thinks football. But I think ultimately the results this season, although there have been so many injuries...
You have to factor in the injury situation.
You have to factor in everything, right? The injuries have been crazy. There's a crazy injury problem going there, but I think his reluctance to adapt to any sort of issues that happen at the club, like, yes, you've had injuries, but when you're playing Dragusin and Archie Gray, surely you adapt to the players you have, and it doesn't really seem like he's willing to do that. And I think ultimately the reason Spurs are keeping him at this current moment is because of the hope that he wins you silverware. But I look at you guys right now, I don't know if silverware is coming for Spurs this year the way you're playing. So if you guys finish bottom half or mid-table, it's a regression from last season, and don't win a trophy on top of that, I think Spurs could be tempted. And I look at the fan base now.
Is it on Ange though, man? Is it on Ange? Like, I feel like you could have any manager in that role and the same thing would be happening.
Look,
we've seen in the past.
Yeah, of course, Spurs haven't won something since, 2008. I understand that 100%, but could he be doing a better job than he's doing right now? I do think so. Like, I'm not saying Spurs right now should be challenging for top 4, the injuries they have, but the amount of goals they concede in the manner that they do, at some point you have to look at the manager in some regard, and I think he has a part to play in it.
Manny, what's your thoughts on
that? I agree. I don't think he'll be there next season, and I think he does have a part to play, because it's just little decisions, like I think it was the game against Chelsea, maybe where Maddison didn't start, and I was thinking, Maddison looks like hot on fire right now, so just little things like that where I feel like, is he in the right mind to be making such decisions? I think Maddison's one of your best players, so yeah, stuff like that.
I look at Dragusin and Archie Gray. Like, again, that's the cards he's dealt with. But they're starting attacks. They're starting sometimes at like the halfway line. That's criminal for players like that.
Yeah.
OK, next one. Manny, this is one of yours, I believe. Mo Kudus will leave West Ham.
Yes. Again, another player similar to Mbeumo. I think they've got a higher ceiling. I think West Ham are in a weird stage where they got rid of Moyes and they don't really know what direction they want to take the club. And when you look at him out of that West Ham team, most of the time when he creates something, it's individual brilliance. If he's in a team that can supplement his football and help him to create chances or even get into positions higher up the pitch with some help, I think he'll go to next levels.
I think he's a top player. I think he is the diamond at West Ham at the moment. Look, he's not having the greatest individual season. I think it is a regression from last year. But also, I feel like he's kind of being moved in and around different positions, on the left, sometimes in midfield, off the right. But I look at him, the quality is there, and I think a bigger team will come calling.
OK. Last but certainly not least, alphabetically, Wolverhampton Wanderers. And this is Manny's prediction. Matheus Cunha will not be at Wolves next season. What a season he's having. 10 goals, 4 assists in the Premier League so far.
It's not even just the stats, it's the style in which he does it. It's almost like, and I'm not saying he's the level of Neymar, but it's Neymar-esque, his style of play, that sort of arrogance, that flair, and it's something that we don't see much of in the Premier League anymore. So I'm hoping that he doesn't go to City because I don't know if that will help him flourish, but I think he'll definitely leave Wolves.
If he does leave, where do you think his next destination is likely to be?
I mean, Arsenal have been heavily linked recently. I think every single Big Six team will be after him. I think there's a quality player there. I would say Arsenal. Maybe Arsenal is my bet.
Think he could go in Jan?
No, I don't think so. I think Wolves, they need him. Like, you can talk about, if they offer 50, 60 million, but if they get relegated without him, that's a huge financial loss. Yeah, have to.
Such an important player. There we go. Enjoyed that. That was the predictions for 2025. Let us know what you think of that.